Yeah, perfectionism is the poison to art. It literally cannot coexist. There's no way. It's not going to work. So if you're really looking to write something great, and you're looking for something to break through the noise around, you have to be risking and failing as many times as you can. Your goal should be to fail as many times as you can. Like at Pixar, fail fast, because that means you're out there and you're trying stuff. And I say to people who have this perfection problem, your job then is to write a draft that's bad. Like, that is the job. Like, write something that's really bad, so that you can find out what's actually inside of there bubbling away and doesn't feel safe to even tell you, because you're such a perfectionist, it doesn't want to show itself. But once you start writing, like I had a writer once that I was mentoring, and she thought that I didn't want to be sentimental. And I'm like, but your scripts are crafted well, but nobody cares. They're not emotional. So you're not selling anything, and you're winning contests and all that stuff, but they're not emotional. So they're not going to get made. They're not going past that line. I don't want to be sentimental, whenever I hear that, I'm like, oh my God, there's something deep inside of here, because there's so much judgment. But okay, your job is to take this scene and write it as sentimentally as possible. Like, my teeth should hurt. It's so sentimental. And of course, when I got the pages, they weren't sentimental at all. It was just emotional. And she was, whatever part of her brain was deeply afraid of emotion for whatever reason. And she had to break through that if she wants to be a professional writer, right? So now it's very tricky once you're a pro and you're handing it into a studio, of course. That's a whole other level of complication. Or to your producers, if they're not necessarily roll up their sleeve producers. But if you're just writing on your own, especially, you should be assuming that your first draft will stink. I mean, I don't know why people think their first drafts, second drafts, third drafts are anything other than malarkey, because I've seen people who have won multiple Academy Awards have their first screenings, and they start the note session afterwards saying, I know nothing in here works. This is kind of what I think I like, but let's rip it apart. Like, the only difference between them and you is they keep going, and they push to get to something fresh and original, and they're not afraid to break it, and they just break it and break it and break it and break it and break it. I mean, they break it into 1,000 pieces, and there's like one piece left, and they take that piece and they go again and they break it. So your job as an artist is to break it, right? It's not who the hell, have you ever met a perfect person? No, because that's not humanly possible. And the ones who are pretending to be are super boring. Perfection is boring. There's not anything raw going to come out of that. So your job should be to be as shitty as possible, in my opinion, in those early drafts, so that you even know what you're doing. What are you doing? Right? If you're so busy presenting it, I don't know what you're doing. It's just like a shiny Barbie facade. Like, what is this? What are you doing? What are you grabbing onto here that's unique and so specifically you, right?
And that can be so vulnerable to be able to take a hammer at what you've taken, your mind, everything that you've conceptualized in your mind, you've put on the page and gotten it up on the screen. Like, that's a very vulnerable and intimidating thing to do, to hit the hammer and break it up. So how can someone overcome that? I mean, that's not easy.
You have to find your own way. How are you going to get comfortable with vulnerability? Because you're an artist. What are you talking about? Like, it's all vulnerability. There's nothing else but vulnerability. That's why you're doing it and people are going to the movies, because you're the first one into the breach. You're the one having the catharsis first. You're the one walking into the lava so that you can have this story and they can now experience it vicariously, knowing it's going to be okay because you've done it. Like, it doesn't equal that you're not going to feel vulnerable. Like, you want to feel vulnerable. If you don't feel vulnerable, you're doing something wrong. You're too presentational and you're not getting deep enough, in my opinion. Vulnerability is the craft of art and writing and any art. It's not a trade. It's an art. So you have to, yes, you will be vulnerable. And if you just feel vulnerable I hate getting notes, right? On the podcast, we say, the process in your brain of getting notes is fuck you, fuck me, what's next, right? And I get stuck in fuck you like a lot, right? I mean, I can't say it on my face, but I do. And you just have to know your own process. But like, you're going to get notes from your friends, and then you're going to get notes eventually from a manager, and then you're going to get notes from an agent, and then you're going to get notes from a producer, a little producer, and then you're going to get notes from a big producer, and then you're going to get notes from 300 people at Pixar, and then you're going to get notes from Andrew Stanton and Pete Docter, and they're saying to you, it's gone backwards, and we don't know what you're thinking because none of this works. Like, you're just getting your muscle ready for the big leagues. The big leagues is like, people like it or they don't, or maybe it's a good story, but that's not what we want widget-wise, or, you know, it is a very vulnerable experience to be an artist in a business, and there is no getting around it. If you're trying to write to not be vulnerable, you've picked the wrong path. If you're writing to somehow create a perfect world where you don't have to feel vulnerable because you have felt so vulnerable in your life, you're creating hollow things. It's art. You're supposed to take all that shit that makes you feel vulnerable and put it onto the screen. You know, at Pixar, we would sit in rooms for hours and hours and hours talking about ourselves and our parents and our kids and what it was like to be a 13-year-old girl and what's it like to be a mom and what's it like, because you have to put all that authentic life. And what do you think actors want? Actors want authenticity. And if you don't have it, they're going to be on set one day going, this doesn't feel real. This doesn't feel like a thing a person would say, right? So that perfectionism, that avoiding vulnerability is going to eventually kick you in the ass at some point, right? Because it isn't going to get through the process. So it is, I'm not saying to you it's easy, but it is the job. That is the job, is to feel vulnerable. And like I said, the only difference is we keep going. That's the only difference. We're going through the exact same thing. And it's funny, I go to, panels, and people like hold these panelists up to high regard as if somehow we've gotten out of it and we'll never be vulnerable again. Your movie made $1 billion. You will never be vulnerable again. Well, guess what? Everybody just passed on something yesterday, like that I worked on for years and years. So it doesn't happen, and you still get notes, and still people still pull things apart. Like, that is the process of growth and creativity. So you just have to find your own personal way of leaning into that.
Watch the full Stage 32 webcast to get the insider intel you need to stay ahead as a writer, producer, or director in 2026. And for those ready to truly level up, join the Stage 32 Writers Room. This is your direct line to A-list executives and a global community of elite filmmakers. Don't just watch the industry change, lead it. Tap the links below to get started.